If you have a small business, you might, especially if it's in tech, you might recognize what I'm about to talk about. I have for the past 3 years, like seen the future coming and known exactly what's going to happen and haven't been able to get out of the way of it, even though I've tried to. Like, so 3 years ago, AI comes out and I'm like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to continue to be able to get projects. We're going to be able to do AI automation, but those projects are going to have fewer people to do the same amount of work. And therefore, we're going to have to get more projects in order to make the same amount of net earnings. And I was like, I don't like that future. I want to get out of the way of it. So I started looking to actually buy our way in by buying a different business. And I landed on logistics because I was like, yes, there's a lot of logistics companies out there that are done with paper, Excel spreadsheets. We're going to buy one of those and we're going to automate it. And we found one. They were excited about it. And there were various reasons that it didn't end up working out that we bought them. Actually, it doesn't really matter. But after we did not buy them, I realized that it would have been a mistake to buy them because they too are going to face competition that's being automated. In order to compete, they're going to have to lower their prices, and it's going to be a race to the bottom to where the margins are just very very small, and whoever is still alive is whichever company survives that race to the bottom gets whatever slim margins are left. So I was like, whew, dodged a bullet. Um, but at the same time, my prediction about what was going to happen to my company is actually happening, and it's like, oh my god. So it has gotten a little bit easier for us to get new clients because the the prices we have to charge are a little bit lower, so it's like a little bit less like, ooh, that's a big spend to get a software development team. Now it's like kind of reasonable to make a small little thing within a company, and they're like, yeah, we want to try. So it's easier to get clients. But at the same time, it's easier to lose them. Now there's not so much difficulty with moving from developers from one place to another, or if one quits, you don't worry so much that you're not going to know what that person was doing. Like it's not like you worry that knowledge walked out the door. You can put AI in charge of figuring out what they did and switch people around a lot more easily. So if somebody's like, yeah, we're done with Kelsis, then they can just scooch us right out the door and they don't worry too much and they hand our work off to somebody else. And it's a little bit of pain, but not bad, not like it used to be. Uh, so we're already seeing the value of our projects get smaller and the turnover get larger. And it sucks. Like I am working harder to stay in the same place because I'm the one that's responsible for getting most of the new clients. Um, so then I thought, well, maybe we can get into the physical world. And I started getting into watches, and it's awesome. I love watches, but I did not expect to find the same thing there as everywhere else. I did a video a little bit ago about how the watch supply chain in China is the reason that so many microbrands are able to get off the ground. But there's a deeper truth in that, which is that you can just sort of buy the level of quality that you want in a movement or a case or a set of hands or whatever. You can decide whether you want hand finishing or whether you want machine finishing. But everything, like the prices of everything, have become commoditized. Uh, and what's left is a heritage story for certain brands. And everything else is just kind of competing over who's telling the best story to get you to buy a machine made product. And it's like, whew, this is actually pretty tricky. And some might argue, well, look at Rolex. They're doing more business than ever. They are machine making with 5-axis CNC machines most of the stuff that goes into a Rolex. And 5-axis CNC machines, I can have one down the road. You can put them in China. You can put them in Switzerland. It does not matter where they are. They produce whatever component you tell them to. They're programmatic makers of things. So then you start to wonder, how attached is the heritage to the thing that I buy? Is it real, other than a mark that has a crown in the word Rolex? How really connected is this? And uh, a Rolex fan is going to say it's to the core. Like every last atom of that Rolex is a Rolex. And other people might not feel the same way. And I was listening to a podcast today that talked about how a lot of times, just when you think like Rolex is undefeatable, they cannot be dethroned, they're just going to go up and up forever, as when a sea change happens in an industry. Like the New York Times' best year ever was a year before the collapse of media in general in like the early 2000s. So I'm not saying there's not going to be a heritage Swiss watch industry anymore. I'm just saying it all feels related. The collapse of margins due to easier and easier and easier automation is an industry wide phenomenon, and I don't really know what to do about it. Do you? Like, it feels like as a small business owner, I have very little power in this. Um, what power do we have? Like, the bigger companies with the deep pockets of capital are the ones that are going to be able to drive prices down sooner and either acquire or drive out of business their competitors. So what do you do in that situation? You run you run for the safe thing. Does that really mean we all need to start plumbing companies? Well, then those margins are going to get driven down. Once everybody becomes a plumber, there'll be a dime a dozen, and it's not going to you're not going to make a lot of money as a plumber, even if it is still hard and human. Everybody competing for the same job drives prices down. Like, where is the safety?